the notch. Whether removing a treetop, rigging, or felling, this technique requires mastery by professionals to maximize safety and control. But what is a notch? Simply put, it's just an opening cut into a piece of wood that creates an angle. The technical term for this is aperture. Depicted here are three common types: the Humboldt, the conventional, and the open face. There are many types of notches, however, every notch creates an angle between the top kerf and the bottom kerf. Where the top and the bottom kerf intersect is known as the apex of the notch. During a felling operation, the operator may cut the top kerf first and then the bottom kerf.
Look through the kerf and you can see the chain over there.
This window created allows the operator to avoid bypass of the apex while utilizing the sight lines on the chainsaw to aim the tree in the direction of fall. The width of the apex should be roughly 80% of the tree's diameter. This approach optimizes the chance for the hinge to be placed within the living sapwood of the tree and outside of the heartwood or decay that might exist. The angle created is critically important to the overall function, purpose, safety, and control of the operation being executed. In this case, a 70 to 90 degree angle or greater maximizes the control of this tree during a felling operation. This notch is known as the open face notch. The question is, why are angles so important? To answer this, we must take a closer look at the notch and some of its key components and how they work. After the placement of a notch, a cut must be made to deploy the piece. This is commonly referred to as a back cut. Two common types are the conventional and bore. The back cut should be placed level, equal, and even on all sides of the notch. The back cut has two key functions. One is to deploy the piece, and the second is to set the thickness of the hinge. The hinge is an even and level strip of uncut wood left between the apex and the back of the back cut. Its width can vary depending on the situation. It is important to remember that the hinge provides control as the piece moves. When the top kerf and the bottom kerf of the notch aperture come together, the notch is closed. This causes significant stress and pressure to build up in the hinge. Ultimately, the hinge must break when the notch aperture closes. This is why the angle created by the notch is important to consider, because it determines how long the hinge can function before it breaks. The notch and the angle it creates are situationally dependent and can change depending on the operation being performed. The question to ask is, do we want the hinge to fail? When felling a tree, control is maximized when the hinge is left intact throughout the entire arc of the tree. This is generally 70 to 90 degrees, but can be greater when considering site and tree characteristics such as height, lean, and slope. When using a notch to rig a piece or remove a treetop, cut and deploy so that the hinge does break free at a point where an even amount of force is applied in line with the main stem of the tree, mitigating dynamic movement in the stem. Limbs can also be left in place to further disperse this dynamic energy, known as mass dampening limbs. When you find yourself using a notch to remove a treetop, rig, or fell, always maximize your safety and control by asking yourself, what's your angle? Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you in the near future at Arboriculture Canada, Training and Education. Stay safe and in control.